Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And making his long-awaited return is Neil.
I'm Neil. I don't know about long-awaited. But, however, who was helping hold down the fort but got stuck with I don't know, is it an emergency fire? Aren't all fires emergencies?
Yeah, he's out helping the county on his fire watch or whatever he's doing. So he's out on a fire right now. So David made it a couple of weeks in a row, and now he's back to his normal shenanigans. But stay safe out there, David.
Well, we don't want to pour one out for him, but we'll hold it down for you.
Yeah. I missed you, Neil. How are you doing?
It was a long 3.5 weeks out with the parents. It was not fun. It was not fun. Things got done, things that had to get done, took care of a bunch of stuff, helped out my parents who were definitely in need of some aid and some assistance, tried to straighten some things out. But, they're older. We're all going to get there. So we're just kind of dealing with end of life stuff and home stuff and moving and care and insurance and dealing with the Veterans Administration because my dad's a vet. It's just been
all that adulting stuff that is
not a ton of fun.
Not
a ton of fun. I thought it was great because on Father's Day, I'm hip deep in paperwork and trying to move them and get them into some place where they can both be taken care of. And my wife's like, "It's Father's Day. It's your day. Have fun."
Thanks.
Yeah, sure. It's going to make it all about me today. I tell my parents, "Mom, sorry you're in the hospital. It's about me today. So I'll see you. I'll see you on Monday."
Gonna enjoy the flatland, the heat.
Okay, what was great about it is there is a restaurant in Amarillo, Texas, which is 2 hours away from where my parents live. And I'd gone there as a kid. It was called the Big Texan. And they got this whole thing where you in a certain amount of time, if you can eat a 72-ounce steak, baked potato, a side salad, 2 jumbo shrimp, and a dinner roll, you get it for free.
Oh, my God. It's like the old 49er in the Great Outdoors or whatever.
Yeah. And it might be where they got the idea. But when I went there, that place was exactly the same as it was when I was a kid. Just cheese ball. It's they've got old Colt revolvers as the door handles, and everything's decked out like a saloon. I remember there were all kinds of stuffed animal heads all over the place, and my son was really kind of enjoying it for the whole cheese factor. And he sits down. He's like, "What are we going to eat here?" I'm like, "It's the Big Texan. We're going to have steaks." They have steaks. Really reasonably priced steaks. So
that's good.
We drove for 2 hours, had really good steaks, drove into Albuquerque, and a couple of places that I wanted to stop no longer existed.
Oh, no.
I was a little upset about that. And then we're driving. Remember the 7-Eleven in Cuba, New Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
They had the great tamales. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
Oh, man.
I know. And then I figured, you know what? Okay, so we swung up into Farmington so my son could visit his uncle. It's on the way out as we're heading towards Shiprock to go cut across the reservation, Arizona, as we make our way back out to California. I'm going to stop at our old stomping ground. I'm going to go see if I can get a tube of popcorn and that big $5 thing of nachos they had.
Yep.
Just right down the road from your house. They don't have that anymore.
Man.
You can go home, but you just can't shop there.
Sad memories.
Yeah.
No more Golden Dragon anymore. No more,
Dragon. Remember they had the little Golden Dragon in the mall for a little bit?
Yep.
The offshoot. Oh, God, that was so fantastic. But yeah, I've just been back here trying to catch up on stuff. It's been way too hot. So I've literally spent 2 weeks just basically sitting inside, not doing much. It is freaking hot. But I guess most all of the United States is hot right now, but it doesn't get up. It's 102.
It's been weirdly mild in my neck of the woods in Colorado Springs. It was 73 today.
And shut your whore mouth. Nobody wants to know.
I know. It was beautiful. It's like super super nice. So yeah,
Not
but
here.
we're not here to talk about the weather or our old hometowns. We're here to talk about movies. And today we're talking about Rocky Four. Rocky Four.
Ugh.
Okay, if you don't like Sylvester Stallone impersonations, you better turn this off right now.
Honestly, I don't even think Sylvester Stallone would like an impression of the way he was in this movie.
He's mentally irregular, is what he's doing.
Yeah, I've got some problems. I don't know, my head, my face, everything. It's not working.
I can't feel my spine anymore. I can't. Well, I won't bury my. I won't say my joke now about boxing, but I will. We'll get to that. Since you've been gone for a while, have you seen any? And I won't ask you what you watched this week. Have you watched anything really good that sticks out in the past couple of weeks?
Well, I did have a birthday
Mm-hmm.
while I was gone, and so I watched a really cool movie. It was like kind of like a coming of age flick. It was called Conanan something.
Oh, Conan the Barbarian again.
The Barbarian, yeah, something like that. No, okay, so I watched a movie called Seek, and then I watched The Hunt, which I love. Just because it makes me laugh, and I was super stressed out, I watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent several times. Because that kicked up, I'd watched that. Tubi must talk to every other thing, because when I went to look at Tubi, there's a movie called Willy's Wonderland, which is like a comedy horror.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's got Nick
Nicolas
Cage in
Cage.
it. He doesn't say a word the whole time. He doesn't say a thing. It's horribly fantastic. I went and watched. I think right after I got back, my wife wanted to go out and see a movie so we could spend some time together. So we watched the Quiet Place prequel.
How was that?
It was okay. It wasn't great. I mean, you know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
I watched Dune 1 and 2 yesterday, and then I watched the original Dune, and then I watched, I don't know why, To Wong Fu with Love, Julie Newmar.
Thanks for everything, Julie Moore. Yeah.
Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Yeah.
I watched The Beekeeper with Jason Statham, which there's no need to watch The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. Just sort of imagine everything you think Jason Statham would want to put in a movie, and that's exactly what it is. And then I watched 47 Meters Down. Not great, but okay. And then I really dug back because I needed something to make me laugh, so I watched Necessary Roughness.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is a deep dive there.
I did. I went a little deep dive there. And then basically just kind of during the day skipped around through channels and watched a lot of like series television. But that was just kind of what we watched there. My mom, whenever she got like kind of coherent, loves Korean movies. So we watched a lot of Korean movies, but I was not paying attention at that point. So that's where we're at. So you've actually had a chance to talk about what you've done over the last 4.5, almost 5 weeks. So you only get to talk about 1 week. So let's
we took a break last week, and I was at a work conference, and I had the air travel from hell. It took me about 21 hours to get from Colorado Springs to Orlando, Florida, and that was a nightmare. But I did manage to watch Dune 2 on the plane from Colorado Springs to Baltimore, and it was pretty much the exact amount. The flight and the movie matched up almost exactly, so it was good to watch that. And then I watched Talladega Nights on the flight eventually from Baltimore to Orlando. And then when I was in Orlando, I ordered room service because I didn't want to mingle with all the conference people, and I watched An Officer and a Gentleman and ate a club sandwich from room service. A $25 club sandwich from room service. But that's a good movie, man. That's a movie that is it's an enjoyable movie. They don't make movies like that anymore. That kind of drama, prestige. I mean, just as a drama, you don't really see like I don't know. It's a kind of a relic of the time back in the early 80s. And the Louis Gossett, rest in peace. I didn't realize he had died until I saw something on a Turner Classics movies thing that Louis Gossett Jr. died. But he's awesome in that. And then I wound up watching Godzilla X Kong on the plane ride back from Orlando to Denver, and it was awful. It was awful. And I am a Godzilla fan. I love me some Godzilla, but I'm just not this American Monsterverse fan. I think the 2014 Godzilla was good in the sense that Godzilla was like this big force of nature, and he wasn't in the movie very long, but that was probably decent. And Godzilla King of the Monsters is really, really bad. That's been on HBO and TNT all the time, and I watched a little bit of that the other day, and it's really, really bad. And this Godzilla versus Kong was bad, and Godzilla X Kong was awful. I hated the stupid Iwi tribe, the tribe that was on Skull Island, and now they're in the Hollow Earth, and it's just dumb.
So I've not heard great things about Godzilla X Kong, but I've heard that Godzilla XOXOXO Kong is a little bit more of a love story.
Yeah, it is. Monkey kiss lizard in that one.
So I just looked up. You would have only lost if you would have driven there. It would have only taken you 26 hours.
Yeah, it was
straight through rather than 21 hours on a plane.
Well, it was my flight was supposed to leave at 6 a.m, and we got on the plane, and then the hydraulics were messed up on the landing gear, so they kicked us off the plane, and they're like, well, we were going to go to this gate, and then they'll rebook you on another flight. But then I automatically got rebooked through the app, and they said, oh, you've got to go through Baltimore. So we get to Baltimore. That doesn't take too long. Well, they pushed me back from 6 till 10. So I wait around at the airport for like 4 hours. Then I take the flight to Baltimore. And then in Baltimore, there's a ground stoppage in Orlando because of the huge rains and thunderstorm and stuff like that. So they kept pushing back the flight. So we finally get on the plane, get to Orlando about 11 at night. And then this is the experience when we get off the plane. It's like 11:30, and then we get to the baggage claim, and all of the flights had finally landed, and all the people were in the baggage area. It looked like a damn refugee camp. There was like kids wandering around by themselves with no parents, adults with no shoes on, other people wearing pajama pants, people laying against the baggage terminal, like just dying for the bags to come through. So it took like another 30 minutes or so to find our baggage. Then it's actually what got our bags got there before us. So they were already in the unchecked or the unclaimed baggage area for Southwest. Then we had to wait for a lift, and that took 20 minutes. And then we took a lift from the airport to the Gaylord Palms Hotel in Orlando. That took another 30 minutes, and I didn't get into the hotel till like 1:30 in the morning. It was a goddamn nightmare.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, it was awful. But the good thing is that I had an excuse to sleep through the keynote speaker the next morning, which is always some sort of like motivational speaker who tries to motivate everybody. And it's just, I chafe at motivational speaking. So, I'm old. But.
There's only one motivational speaker I like. It's a guy you may have heard of.
Conan?
His name's Matt Foley.
Oh, Matt Foley? Yeah. Living in a van down by the river.
It is so funny because when we were kids, they used to yell at us like, if you guys don't get your shit together, if you don't study, you don't have a plan, you don't work hard, you're going to end up living in a van down by the river. And now all social media is, if you're lucky enough and you work hard enough, you can afford this really kick-ass van to go live down by rivers.
Yeah. That whole van life aesthetic escapes me. I just do not understand it. I couldn't be down with it. And
I'd love to have one for road trips. I think it'd be fantastic.
That part would be fun. But those people are like, van life.
I love when I take a shit to be able to flush it away.
Yes,
I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it in a bucket.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. That is,
yeah.
I pay for an indoor toilet and a shower with hot water.
Yeah. Speaking of indoor toilet, let's talk about Rocky IV.
Rocky IV. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
Rocky Balboa proudly holds the world's heavyweight boxing championship, but a new challenger has stepped forward. Drago, a 6'4", 261-pound fighter who has the backing of the Soviet Union. God, I can feel the jingoism swelling up inside me. I can feel all the red blood stars and stripes and just coursing through with just giant patriotic erections just talking about this movie.
Well, younger listeners, back in the 80s, the Cold War was real.
The Russians were going to come and kill us. That was what was,
or nuke us. That was the threat of nuclear war.
They were going to kill us and nuke us. All they did was cheat at the Olympics, which is kind of true. And the only place to live in the world that's really good is America, apparently.
Yes.
Thanks to James Brown, we know that.
So when did you first see this movie?
Oh, when it came out. I saw it in 1985. I went to the theater and saw it. I was just super stoked because it had James Brown.
Yes, memorable performance by James Brown in this movie. I loved Rocky as a kid. I loved me some Rocky movies back as a kid. I loved Rocky 3, which is still my favorite of the Rocky series. And when Rocky 4 came out, there was a lot of hype around it. And there was the trailers and all that kind of stuff. So I was like really, really wanting to see this movie. And I remember seeing this at the Centennial Twin Theater in Farmington, New Mexico, and really, really enjoying it. I bought it like hook, line, and sinker, like the proud little patriotic American I was when I was 12 years old.
Well, I mean, that really was all the movies at this time. I mean, he was fighting Russians. Chuck Norris was killing Russians. Russians were invading us in the movies. Even Arnold played a Russian cop at one point coming over.
Oh, in Red Heat, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's how I know how to say cocaine in Russian. When he pours it out of the guy's false leg, cocainum. So cocainum. Which sounds like something out of Mortal Kombat. Cocaine,
like a fighter.
Yeah.
Wow, you've just talked about the next two movies we're going to do.
Well, what are you going to do? They're all so closely related.
Yes. We're in the middle of since it's July, we're going to do a little mini Cold War movie marathon. We're going to do Rocky 4 this week, and then we're going to do Red Dawn the week after that, and then we're going to do Mortal Kombat just because it sounds fun to do. So.
I have to do my Mortal Kombat theme song impression for you when the time comes.
Test your might.
You're gonna go, so there was hopefully the road noise isn't too bad because it's really, really hot and have all the windows in my house open right now. Just a couple of gripes, and I've got to get them out of the way right now.
Okay.
Having spent a large portion of my now 52 years on this planet learning how to fight and only stopping because of excessive injuries and surgeries, right? No one can get hit full force, not blocked, no movement, no head in the head that many times and stay conscious. I get it. They're superhuman and we're supposed to watch them taking a beating. Completely unbelievable. Second thing. Okay. Rocky, amazing movie. Rocky was really good. If you look at like the original ones that he did, like the first Rambo, really, really good story. Really good sort of anti-war PTSD. What's going on with the veterans with a little mix of action to kind of top it off, but it didn't lose the soul of the story for it. It was part of it. It wasn't just the sole purpose of it. And then the original Rocky, it was about boxing, but it was the story. It was his story.
Yeah, it was an underdog story. Yeah.
About what he was overcoming. And then it just became shit like this. Or what's that movie where he just wanted to show he could jump up and grab shit with his fingertips? The climbing one, Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
It just became this. So like this could have been, and then he tried to take it all back with Rocky 5. But this could have been a really kind of good story about aging, about the abuse of the sport, about what the toll it takes on the body, about the acceptance of that. Instead, it just bought into all I think there was a lost chance. I think it could have been something so much better. But it did have James Brown.
The interesting thing is that I think it was last year or year before they did a director's cut of Rocky 4, and I have not seen it, and I'm not sure if I want to, but where Stallone cut out all the bullshit. He cut out all the robot parts with Polly and the robot and all that kind of stuff, and added a lot more of the interplay between Apollo and Rocky, where it supposedly fleshed out the kind of the story and the reason why they fought and all this kind of stuff. You can look it up. It's like the Rocky 4 director's cut, and it just, yeah, it is interesting. And I hear it's better, but some people say it's boring compared to that one. I don't know.
I guess a lot of people need montages with uplifting 80s rock and roll.
The funny thing about this, and we'll talk about it right now, this movie is 33% montage.
So right after you texted that to me, my wife was already on it. She was sitting there irritated that we were watching it and going through and giving me all the weird trivia. And she was like, "Do you realize that this movie is over 30% montage?" And then just as she said that, you sent me the text.
So I'm looking at, you can look up the CompuBox stats for Rocky 4, which, if you watched, I was a huge boxing fan in the 80s and the 90s. I don't watch it very much anymore, but as you know, my family loved to buy boxing pay-per-views. We love boxing. And at the end of every round on HBO Heavyweight Boxing, they compiled the CompuBox stats, and that is like how many jabs were thrown, how many connected, how many power punches were thrown, how many connected per fighter. And it says Drago landed 61 out of 72 total punches thrown in round 1. And he landed 91 punches before being cut over the left eye.
Round 1.
Yes. Round 1. Fight. So this was written and directed by Stallone. And as you just talked about, Stallone, when he wants to, can write a good scene, can write a good movie, has talent behind the camera. And as a director, he's not a bad director. He leans way too much into montage in this movie, but the camera setups and everything like that. He's a pretty good director. He's not terrible. And he wrote and directed this. It was released on November 27th of 1985. So I was 12 years old when this movie came out. The budget was $28 million. And this is $1985. They made $300 million at the box office. It was the biggest Rocky to that point. That's a lot of money in $1985. It's freaking huge. And of course, cast-wise, you got Sylvester Stallone. He's returning as the Italian stallion. Rocky.
So I just looked it up. That would be $873,920,227.92 now.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking money.
He made some cash.
Yeah, big time.
Spent it all on robots.
And HGH, yes. So Stallone returns as Rocky, the reigning 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Talia Shire returns as Adrian. Adrian is not as uplifting a partner in this movie as she was in Rocky 3. She's a little bit of a bummer in this movie.
And not in a lot of it.
Yeah, and she's not in the movie very much. But yeah, a lot of the other movies, especially Rocky 3, I think, it hinges on the relationship between Adrian and Rocky, and him admitting that he's afraid to fight, Clubber Lang again and stuff. And that is just really good. And I think Adrian had her best performance in Rocky 3. And this one, she's just like Debbie Downer. You can't win. You can't win, Rocky. Every time she turns around, you can't win.
We've got bills. Look at this house.
I got to pay for these Lamborghinis. They're not going to pay for themselves out there. Burt Young returns as Polly. And Polly is my least favorite character in any of these movies. It's like, why the hell do you keep Polly around? He does nothing but bitch about about things. There's no TV here. What am I supposed to do? And he's vaguely racist. Not really vaguely racist. He's just plain old racist in Rocky 3 when they're training, at Apollo's gym. I don't like these people. I don't like the. And this is the term he uses. I'm not using it as a current term, but in Rocky 3, he's like, I don't like this Jungle Bunny music. You're like, all right, Polly, put your hood away. Yeah,
which I think, considering the time and where he was, is kind of probably not too far off.
Yeah,
fairly accurate. The state I was in, I heard some lovely language referring to people who had far more melanin than myself. So I'll believe it still in this day and age.
Yeah. Brigitte Nielsen is Ludmila Drago, the wife and supporter.
You're not going to attempt that middle name?
Ludmila Vobet Drago. She plays Drago's wife, ex-Olympic swimming champion. And apparently she was, quickly engaged and married to Stallone. And we get that wonderful movie that we've already done, Cobra.
Oof.
After this movie.
Oof, Cobra. First off, I love this. Did you chat GPT this?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Because
I took these. This is from Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, I love it. Wife and supporter. Because it's not Talia Shire. But she says Rocky's wife and support through his boxing career, but not in this movie. Brigitte Nielsen, wife and supporter of Ivan Drago. In this one,
her Brigitte Nielsen's accent was so bad. You think you're so very good, and we are so very bad.
Yes, your accent is. But you know what?
We must get Moose and Squirrel.
She ditched Sylvester Stallone, that hack, that raving lunatic, and then finally got herself someone who she really could, bond with, Flavor Flav.
Yes.
I thought that was an awesome pairing. Like, how is that going to work?
Speaking of awful reality shows, Jamie has been watching MILF Manor on Max.
You literally... I was listening to the podcast that you and Dave did, and you were talking about some weird naked dating show, and then said that you were wanting to watch MILF Manor. Yeah, so I looked it up because I've had nothing but time, and any shitty reality TV show I watch or any other TV series I watch, I want to hear nothing from you about being able to I just don't have the patience to tune into these time after time. I think because now I'm going to call bullshit because you will if it's absolute schlock.
It is
absolute schlock.
It is such a slow moving train wreck of these over tanned, Botoxed, alcoholic MILFs.
So I'll do stuff like, you know what? Okay. I'm going to watch The House of the Dragon, or something, or get me some Game of Thrones, maybe watch The Boys, something like this. And you're like, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. MILF Manor. Clear the schedule, babe. I'm good to go.
Well, mostly I come home from work, I'll take a nap, and Jamie's downstairs doing a puzzle or something like that. So she's watching MILF Manor, and I'm half asleep watching it, and then I'll wake up and go, oh, I guess we should watch the next one, huh? The next episode.
Well, the one eye's closed, babe. Everything's fine.
Well, in the first season, which we skipped, the first season, it was the MILFs are dating these younger guys, and then her sons, the sons of the MILFs, show up to compete for the other MILFs. It's super, super awkward. But in this season, it's these young guys, and then their dads show up to compete for the hands of these MILFs. And it is just, it is awful.
I'm hearing the Doppler effect from you falling from your high horse about watching television series.
Yeah. I feel bad. I feel bad that I watched it, and
really MILF Manor, dude. Yeah, I looked it up. Holy crap.
And some of these ladies are so over tanned, they look like catcher's mitts. They look so just leathery.
The best term I heard for it was on, I think it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They say that they look like they have hot dog skin.
Yeah, they do. They look like they've left on the roller a little bit too
They've
long.
got hot dog skin.
That roller at the 7-Eleven, that one person just has not picked up that one hot dog.
I did a lot of driving, and I was always stopping at the truck stops because you could always count on fried burritos and the roller hot dogs just to kind of keep yourself cracking through so you don't have to stop.
Yeah. The guy who is Duke, Tony Burton, is Apollo's ex-trainer. And then, of course, when Apollo's ticket gets punched, which inevitably happens, you knew that was going to happen. They telegraph Apollo dying. So Rocky should have just held up a sign, or like there should have been a Grim Reaper in the background that you would spot every time Apollo was talking. There's like a crow or a
"Don't you stop this fight! Don't you stop this fight! Stop the fight!" I don't know. He said he didn't want me to stop it.
He told me not to stop it. I just holding this towel here. Yeah, and
I can't. Okay, what married man? What married man? And I'm not disparaging marriage in any way whatsoever. Okay, because the reason my wife and I work so well is because she counterbalances me.
Yeah, same here.
Counterbalances me. And I know because there was a time when I was on a roof and I was getting ready to jump through a gazebo into a hot tub because enough substances in my body told me that was going to be a great idea. And I hear my name. I hear Neil. And I look over and she was giving me a look a lot like Apollo Creed's wife. And I stopped and I went back in the house. But Apollo Creed, like, you know what? I'm going to stay in here with this guy who's punching me with more force than average heavyweight boxer.
1,800 pounds square inch punch.
1,800 pounds square inch. Why would they even do a square inch? They're Russians. They wouldn't measure in square inches. Nobody. You know anybody that comes from a country that uses the metric system? They refuse. I used to work out with dudes from New Zealand. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, he's coming in. You don't want to do that. He's coming in at least 140 pounds. He's like, I don't even know what that is, dude. What is that in kilos? Like, I don't know. I measure in freedom. That's what I measure in.
You don't measure in stone. He's 12 stone, he is.
That was completely unbelievable. Just one little glance, and Apollo would have been like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go. I'm sorry. But my apologies, James Brown. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.
Well, one of my biggest gripes about this movie is that all of the lessons espoused by Apollo go away.
Fucking window.
Yeah, out the window.
There they are. All gone. You can see them fleeing in the distance.
Yeah. And all the skills that Rocky was taught by Apollo, like, footwork and head movement.
Well, he tried head movement. He was doing that weird, like, little jerky back and forth thing, but it's just he had him like a metronome and just punched him in the face every single time he moved his head.
Hit us with a critical consensus.
All right. Let me go. All right. Film has a 40% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's based on 50 critics with an average rating of 5.1 of 10, which is pretty generous. The website's critical consensus states Rocky IV inflates the action to absurd heights, but ultimately rings hollow thanks to a story that hits the same basic beat as the first three entries in the franchise. On Metacritic, the film has a score of 40 out of 100 based on 13 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Now for the fun stuff. Roger Ebert gave the film 2 out of 4 stars, stating that with this film, the Rocky series began finally losing its legs. It's been on a long run, one hit after another. The Rocky IV is a last gasp, a film so predictable that viewing it is like watching one of those old sitcoms where the characters never change and the same situations turn up again and again. Ian Nathan of Empire gave the film 2 out of 5 stars, calling the script a laughable turd and describing Rocky IV as the film where the Rocky series threw in the towel on credibility. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film a 3.5 out of 4, which I was shocked when I read that, and stated, in this review, Stallone creates credible villains worthy of his heroic character. Huh?
I watched a video of the At the Movies on YouTube between Siskel and Ebert, and Siskel loved this movie. He loved Drago as a villain. He bought into it. He was really, really into this movie, which completely surprised me. Yeah, and Ebert was like, "Are you insane? Gene, did you get punched in the head?"
Gene Siskel gives off really strong incel vibes.
Yeah,
and he just watched that, knowing like, oh yeah, his woman's not helping him out. He's out there on his own. He's fighting communism.
Adrian turned against him. Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes. There's a couple of blurbs that made me laugh about the movie, and I'm surprised there wasn't more, reviews in Wikipedia. But bombastic and exaggerated and 1/3 musical montage, this Rocky sequel is definitely not a good. I guess it was in Spanish originally. There's simply too many ludicrous elements to ignore. Polly's robot, Brigitte Nielsen, even less expressive than the robot, and about 1,000 music video style montages, Lundgren's delivery of Drago's deadly dialogue, etc. That's from Matt Brunson from Film Frenzy.
This is grim and witless storytelling. And what makes it so depressing is that it hasn't improved by so much as a chemical trace since the days of the first Rocky. Sheila Benson for the win. Mic drop.
So padded with clips from earlier Rocky pictures, adding nothing to his mythic, let alone human dimensions. It lacks even the primitive suspense and crude capacity to release underdog emotions that permitted its predecessors to conquer one's better judgment.
Did you read Peter Travers from People?
No.
His vacuous post-bout speech indicates why boxers with 75 professional bouts are rarely called upon as public speakers. It's kind of really funny. You could change. You didn't like me. I didn't like that though.
Yeah, it's not good. I remember loving this movie as a kid, and I've seen it dozens of times over the years because it's always on cable, basic cable. It's on TNT or USA or FX or AMC. It's always on rotation on one of those channels. I mean, you can't miss it. It's just always there. And this is a rare PG movie for us. One of the rare ones that we have done. I did like the opening. You get I thought about this. It has your least favorite thing of anything in movies.
God damn, too. I was cussing as soon as it started to have we got to, we got to rehash the whole other 3 movies at the beginning of the film.
Yes. Friday the 13th series and Rocky. You've got to sum up in detail and pad the clock with a recap of the ending of the last movie. Yeah. So who do you think won the private match between Rocky and Apollo?
Rocky. We've already established that when Rocky fights black people, they beat him, and then
they never beat him again,
and then they never beat him again.
Yeah.
So we know that. But you're talking about how much you loved this movie. This is a movie that's great if you've never actually been punched in the face.
Oh yeah.
Because if you've been punched in the face, you're watching it like, no. Never going to happen. All I'm thinking of is like Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
The Polly's birthday is ridiculous, and the stupid 80s robot. The Ivan Drago press conference.
If he dies, he dies.
He dies. He only says 46 words in this movie.
He's like iron.
He's just, I fight for me.
And the great thing is, though, is Dolph Lundgren is a very, very athletic dude.
Oh yeah,
Like a super athletic dude. He's like second or third degree in Kyokushin, and Kyokushin is serious contact. I mean, they're training and they're sparring, no gloves, nothing on the feet. They're just slamming their fists into each other in the chest and the abdomen. You can't punch to the head, but you can kick to the head because it's hard to get your foot up there. So the fact that he is a second degree black belt in that, like, mad props. And what does he got, a master's in like chemical engineering or something like this?
yeah, he's a smart guy, and he is the best part of the movie to me because he looks the part. He looks like, this undefeatable Russian monster.
Just the running, like when you watch Sylvester Stallone run, it looks like he's pulling heavy weights whenever he runs. Like in which one was it where he and Apollo ran on the beach? Was it 3?
Oh, Rocky 3.
Where 3? Where his like shoulders come up like this and his chin drops down. He's going for everything he's got. And like Carl Weathers is like, what the hell, man? Like, have you ever run before?
That was always the biggest leap of logic, or asking the audience to forgive, is that Rocky would actually beat Apollo in a foot race on a beach.
Rocky's so stiff. But when you watch Dolph Lundgren, especially when he's running around like that track and like hitting those things, the dude ran like an animal. I mean, he was loose, long stride. He was very physically capable. And so I like that we didn't lose his physicality, but I don't know it again, and it's a movie. So of course Rocky's going to win, but in what world, if the two of those guys decided to fight each other, would he be able to defeat him?
And Rocky is nowhere near the heavyweight weight. He's not in that weight class. He's super, super thin. He's probably maybe 180, and then so he's like a cruiserweight, and Drago's like 260 or whatever he is. It's just, there's no way they would have fought. But we're talking about realism in a Rocky movie.
Well, because we were both irritated with it. Okay, Sylvester Stallone is 5'10". Dolph Lundgren is 6'5".
5'10".
Yeah, 5'10", with the lifts in his shoes. Yes, his cheek implants add an extra inch.
I always think of Eddie Murphy. He's like, "Listen here, little Italian white man." And he's like, "Rocky."
That is, oh my god!
You heard me. Pay for my candy.
pay for my candy. Boom!
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
He's not gonna make it.
Excuse me, little white man. I remember, God, that was prime Eddie Murphy too. I'm really curious. He's got the new Beverly Hills Cop movie out, and I really liked the early Eddie Murphy movies, and I really want this to be. I really want it to be good, but I'm a little afraid to watch it in case I'm disappointed.
Well, Trading Places, and I've talked about it in the past couple of podcasts, has been on Showtime like constantly. But I love that movie, and I always wind up watching at least a little bit of it because Eddie Murphy is just so good in it. He's his charisma takes that movie up to a different level. Every scene he's in, he's the funniest person in every scene, and Dan Aykroyd plays off him really well, and it's just a good movie, and it's fun and entertaining. And yeah, that's when you knew he was going to be a star, when you watch Trading Places, or of course SNL and his comedy specials and stuff like that. But he was so huge during that time.
It's the quarter blood technique. Use this technique on your opponent. Spill a quart of blood on the ground.
Karate Man bruise on the inside.
Bruise on the inside, so he don't show no weakness.
What's the deal with Polly and turning the robot into his sex bot? That's gross. She loves me.
Yeah, well, we got he's our comedic relief.
Yeah,
because you're going to get caught up in the tension and in the drama that is Rocky, that you need to have this comedic relief.
Well, during the fight between Apollo and Drago, You will lose. You will lose. But yeah, James Brown, that performance was really, really cool. That was his last big hit. And it was a good song. It was popular as hell.
I like James Brown too. You were at my wedding, you know. I had James Brown music in the wedding.
So
love it.
And of course, Duke is just acting his ass off. Throw in the towel. It's supposed to be an exhibition. And I think Rocky's a little bit to blame in Apollo's death because he could have thrown in that towel a lot earlier.
Sat there like a doofus and let his friend get killed.
Yeah, his friend is, I mean, even before the second round, he should be like, I know you want me not to stop this fight, but I'm stopping this fight, pal. You got brain matter coming out of your ears here.
There appear to be some issues, and I just don't feel comfortable with this right now. Sorry.
The funeral was very fast. It didn't have the dramatic, incoherent Rocky just howling like he did at Mickey's when Mickey died.
It's eyes all swollen shut. Cut me, Mick. Oh my god.
And that was just, I mean, I remember Mad Magazine had a parody of Rocky IV. And I always remember a joke about, he's talking to Adrian, and it's like, well, I don't want to hope I don't live through this movie because I'm going to get my ticket punched in the next one. Because that was the trend. Mickey dies in 3, Apollo dies in 4. And I do think Adrian dies.
Yeah, I think she gets offed in one of the films.
Yeah, she's dead. But yeah, this. And then, of course,
I'm not even sure I've seen Rocky V.
I repressed it because it is so bad. Where it's like a street fight at the end where he finds, maybe Tommy Morrison was a real boxer, and he was like Rocky's protege in Rocky V, and it was just really, really bad. I have seen Creed and Creed 2, which are really good. I have not seen the newest one with Jonathan Majors in it. But when he fought Drago's son and stuff like that, that wasn't bad. Those are pretty good.
Rocky 6 was in 2006.
Was that just Rocky Balboa?
Yeah, well, they're counting that as Rocky 6.
Yeah. Yeah, where he comes like he's old and he's fighting, he's fighting and winning against these people, and then the champion wants to fight him. I've seen like the end of it, but I haven't watched
the champions. Jake Paul shows up and it's like,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
You're 75. Hey. You're 75. I want to fight you now.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. I would not watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, although I hope Mike Tyson would knock the shit out of him. But Mike Tyson is in his 50s. Jake Paul is in his late 20s. It's not fair. Even if Mike Tyson is still has a little bit of that mojo in him, you're fighting somebody that is old enough to be your dad.
Yeah, so our birthdays are really close. So he just turned 58.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake Paul was like 27 or 28 years old.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely
why don't you fight
ridiculous.
Canelo Alvarez or somebody like that, Fight somebody who's your...
Canelo's not going to waste his time. Why would Canelo want to waste the effort on a camp?
Yeah, it's just such bullshit. It's such a... Yeah, it's annoying. So this movie has 4 montages. And actually there's 5 montages, because if you count the first one where Adrian tells him he can't win and he drives around and he has a recap of all the movies. It's like basically a music video recapping every one of, there's no easy way out.
There's no shortcut home.
No shortcut home. And do you think you should consult with your wife whether or not you're going to go to Russia and fight somebody on Christmas Day? Or you just want to spring it on her?
I'm just taking off. I have to do it. You can't ask me not be a man.
Yeah, don't ask me to stop being a man, all right? And they get to Russia, and there's the burning heart montage, and it just shows all the stereotypical Russian stuff. Guy with plow, woman with sickle, drinking vodka. Just could we be more stereotypical than what we're showing right now?
Yep. I still love your original thing when we were talking about this, like calling him a CrossFit pioneer.
Yes, he is. He's a CrossFit pioneer. It's modern training versus Rocky's chore-based workout. I'm going to chop some wood. I'm going to load up a cart and push the rocks around. I'm going to use a... Dang, what's the thing that you put around a... nice fireworks. What's the thing you put around a horse? Like the plow thing? Shit.
Yoke?
The yoke. I'm going to use a yoke. I'm going to use that. I'm going to do some pull-ups.
I'm not yoking around when I say that this is something I got to do.
So he's doing CrossFit before CrossFit was a thing. Then you get the montage. Oh, I love you too. Then you do the montage of Neil's doing all these effects in his chat and like hearts and balloons and stuff.
I just found this. I'm so happy.
So the montages, and now it's raining. So many montages. You get to see Drago on the juice.
Little vitamin S.
Yes. His balls shrinking with each each injection. Yeah, and then at the end, of course, Rocky climbs up the mountain. Drago! And he's going to climb down.
You're looking at that like, dude, it's late in the day, and you got to climb all the way back down. The temperature is going to drop. You're going to freeze your ass off.
Bears and the wolves come for you. And
stay
the fight
on the road. Do not approach the castle.
The fight is fucking ridiculous. Even Gorbachev is in attendance, which is the same Gorbachev who in this movie, this impersonator, was also in one of the Naked Gun movies.
Nice.
And Frank is on his vacation and he's fighting like the Ayatollah and Gaddafi and stuff like that, and he takes his rag and wipes the birthmark off of Gaddafi's head. Of Gorbachev's head. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I do. Now you got me. I remember it.
All right. So if you're having a training camp, and of course Duke is a bona fide trainer, he's really, really good. Would you bring a cut man from the United States, like Jimmy the Clot? Somebody who's really going to help. There's always a guy named Jimmy the Clot. Who does packs up the cut with gauze and Vaseline. No, you bring Polly.
Yeah, I got Bobby Styptic pencil with me. I brought him all the way from Philly.
Yeah, you got this guy. No, we're just bringing his Polly's in his corner. Oh, nice. Like I said,
we're doing I'm doing all the visual stuff, and no one knows what's going on.
No, I know people are going, "What the hell is Eric talking about?
What the hell is Eric doing?"
Yeah, so Rocky forgets all the lessons, comes straight forward, takes 80 jabs to the head.
But that's the only person who can defeat him is the real Rocky, the way Rocky used to be. That's the only person who can do it.
I just picture Rocky is semi-literate, like in the first round. The CTE hasn't really got to him. He's like, I think I'm doing pretty good. Again, by the 15th round, he's like, he's just brains mush.
What do you need, Rocky? A piece of cheese. He's just gone.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Once Drago gets cut, just it goes downhill. 15 rounds.
Bleed. He can bleed.
Remember when boxing used to be 15 rounds? Now it's just 12 is the most he would go.
Yeah.
I remember they used to go 20, like in the 70s, late 70s.
Dude,
and stuff like that.
I remember when boxing used to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing used to be fantastic. And can you think of anybody? How up on boxing are you right now? I
know Canelo Alvarez is really good. Tyson Fury. A few. I know the big names, but I don't really watch it like I used to. I used to love boxing. That was we'd invite you over and we'd watch the Tyson fights and the Hagler Hearns and Tommy
Honestly,
the Hitman Hearns. Hearns had the coolest nickname. He was the Motor City Cobra. That's fucking badass boxing.
Well, and then guys like Roberto Duran. What I really love is they've got amateur boxing in town, and I love, and I don't think there's a great way to say this, but I love Mexican boxing. I love their boxing style of just being there in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And the head movement and throwing shots. It really is an art and science when it's done that way.
Well, just like Floyd Mayweather was the best defensive boxer there was. I mean, he wasn't a great stopper. He didn't knock down a bunch of people, but he had that Philly shell where he would just like, you just couldn't hit him. He was so good at protecting himself and getting points. And, he wasn't like a knockout artist, but he was just a tactician in the ring. He was amazing.
What I really look forward to is the Summer Olympics to watch the boxing.
Yeah, I do like the amateur.
I love the boxing, and then the judo, of course. It's near and dear.
Speaking of this, in the movie, Drago is supposed to be an Olympic gold medalist. So how are they not aware? If you're, Rocky and Apollo, and you're in the, in the know about boxing, you would know who Drago is if he was an Olympic gold medalist. You would think. I don't know. Nitpicks. At the end, of course, Drago gets knocked out in the last round, and Rocky gives that speech, and the the people are like cheering for him. I'm like, everybody who cheered for Rocky in the arena would have been taken out back and shot. Line up, people.
You are not allowed to be here. I was trying to look up the doping scandal, but it's only giving. God, there's so much of it, but I'm only getting like 2008 on. But I remember that was a huge thing that everyone was talking about. Like all these like Soviet bloc and communist athletes were all on the juice, but not our guys. Our guys didn't do that. We had guys that won stuff honestly, like that Lance Armstrong.
Oh yes,
he took all that. He did all that himself.
Rocky IV is entertaining. It makes no sense. It is dumb, and you see people take a number of shots to the head that would kill anybody.
Yeah, and then they stay conscious. I'm so shocked by that. I got hit once, and it was a clip. I mean, I got clipped on the side of the head with a foot, and I fell to my hands and knees. And when I looked up, everything was crossed, like I was cross-eyed, and it didn't go away. Like normally, if you take a pop, you go down, you get a couple seconds, you kind of feel like you're kind of getting it back together, and then you get up, and your inner ear says, "No." But I literally got clipped. I saw the video footage of it, and it looked just barely grazed me. And I thought like my vision was gone for the rest of my life, because probably for a full maybe 30 seconds, like literally felt like my eyes were crossed.
Oh no.
But it just goes to show you, I am not nearly the man that Rocky is. Or
just
Ivan
punch after punch to the face.
After punch in the face.
I do love the fact that they kept going back to that same shot where you see the guy and you see the glove go across his face, and you see their face contort and all the blood and spit come out.
Or how they always have like, we got to get them all moist, so that when we throw it, so that the moisture flings off. My wife was highly disturbed. Like, why are they coming into the ring moist? They're already moist. Why is there so much moisture?
Well, they're talking about, and if you read the trivia, is that during part of the shooting, Stallone wanted Dolph Lundgren to really hit him, for him to hit each other. And that Rocky wound up, or Sylvester Stallone wound up in intensive care because he had an inflamed heart after getting hit in the ribs so many times in the chest. So yeah. I would not want to take a hit from in his prime Dolph Lundgren. It's just not something I would stand in front of him and willingly do. Apparently Dolph Lundgren also hit Carl Weathers legitimately, and Carl Weathers walked off the set for 4 days until Stallone asked him to come back.
He's a big man.
He's a big dude. Yeah. Big guy. But that is Rocky IV. It is entertaining. And I'm sure you've had to see at least part of it on cable sometime if you haven't watched it over and over again. To me, the original Rocky is the best. Rocky II is entertaining. I like it. Rocky III is my personal favorite, just because I love Mr. T.
What is your prediction for the fight?
Pain. He's like, "Come here, woman. Come here."
Be a real man.
I mean, a real man. Yeah, that was amazing. Back to 85, the box office is pretty amazing. Lots of movies that we have done. Back to the Future. We haven't done First Blood Part 2 in Beverly Hills Cop, which we talked a little bit about. We don't have an episode on that yet, but Rocky 4, The Goonies. Police Academy 2 made $55 million.
Crazy.
I know. I used to love Police Academy 2. I love that one. That one, it was Citizens on Patrol, I think it was.
Everybody wanted to be Michael Winslow.
Oh, yeah.
And do the noises.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wanted to do that. Fletch, A View to a Kill, European Vacation, The Breakfast Club, we've done an episode on. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, we've done an episode on. E.T.
Pale Rider. We got Pale
Also,
Rider
we've
in there.
done-
I like that movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Commando. Amadeus, that's a really good movie. Fright Night, amazing movie. Weird Science, good movie. Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Code of Silence with Chuck Norris.
Yes.
Lady Hawk, A Nightmare on Elm Street, To Live and Die in L.A., Starman. That's a good movie. I almost watched Death Wish 3 because I hear it's the most wild and crazy one of them all, and it just makes no sense. And it was on it's on one of the streaming channels. I think it's on Max right now, and I came so close to watching it, but I think I went to bed. So
If you mentioned 62 on the list, we are no longer friends.
I was getting ready to. So yeah,
Yeah. Don't even that. It doesn't exist. It never happened. And anybody wants to know what this is, you're going to look it up on your own because we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
It
Box
makes me
Office Mojo year
so
1985. Return of the Living Dead. Amazing movie. That's just really, really good. Cat's Eye, Vision Quest, Silver Bullet, Dune, Crush
Dude,
Groove,
Vision Quest, Loudon Swain.
American Ninja, Ghostbusters re-release. Yeah. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2,
Daryl, if we're going to go along that line, Daryl was released that year as well.
Godzilla 85.
No, thank you.
Godzilla 85 is not that bad.
Well, The Company of Wolves was 85. Look at that.
Yep.
That's
Speaking of A Company of Wolves, we did get a listener email, and listener Ryan suggested The Last Dragon, which I did add to August movie list
sweet.
because we've been thinking about that for a while, but we have a request for it. So The Last Dragon.
Let me ask you a question, Ryan. Let me ask you a question. Who is the Shogun of Harlem?
Shonuff.
That's right.
And he suggested Frankenhooker for Turkey
Do you
Month.
remember that? Do you remember that box?
Yes, I do.
When you
remember
pressed
that one.
it, pressed it goes, "Do you want a date?" Or
Yes.
something like that. I love that box.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest marketing ploys of the video store era as the Frankenhooker box. Yes. Anyway, that's Rocky 4. Next week, we're doing our Cold War series. So Red Dawn, which is a interesting one. John Milius.
Wolverines.
Avenge me! Well, it's good to have you back, Neil.
It's good. It's good to be back. It felt really strange watching movies and not talking to them, not talking with you about them after the fact. Very weird.
So if you want to hit us with an email, rvspodcast222@gmail.com, just like listener Ryan does on the regular. We appreciate him. We are on Instagram. We are on Threads. We are on Facebook. And if you want to buy us a cup of coffee, go to buymeacoffee.com, look up at the Retro Video Store. And we appreciate you listening. I've noticed that if you're not producing content, your listenership goes way down. So
Goes way down. Yeah.
way down.
Yeah. And we're not I have not done much with Threads over the past almost now 6 weeks since everything kind of went on. But then again, I don't really there's really nobody to react with. I'm not really sure how Threads is working.
I think if you just post stuff, then I'll recommend it to other people, and then maybe you get more
get some interaction, like following folks or looking for folks. Because I go on there and I post stuff. And I'm like, okay, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. Posting into the void.
Yes, kind of. Well, Yeah. Not here though, because here when we're talking, we have at least 4 people. So
At
that's
least
good.
4 people. Yeah. Hopefully still 4 because we haven't put out a lot of content the past months.
Oh, so you know what? I'm gonna blame my parents.
Mhm.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. God, for ruining the podcast.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week and good vibes to Dave.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.